Welcome to Collaborate, the podcast that's reshaping real estate success. Whether you're a new agent striving for your first big win or a seasoned producer ready to break into the top 1%, Collaborate is your gateway to elite strategies, global networks, and industry-changing insights. Each episode delivers actionable advice straight from the top 1% of real estate professionals worldwide. This is where you learn the tools, tactics, and high-level techniques you need to scale your business and unlock financial freedom. Don't just survive, thrive. I'm your host, Trevor, Bigg, three-time Icon Award winner with over $100 million in sales volume as a solo agent. And if you haven't been invited to the show yet, get your numbers up because this is a space reserved for the elite. Welcome back to another impactful episode of Collaborate. This is the premier podcast for ambitious agents focused on scaling their business. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome someone whose journey and business approach has truly left me inspired, Shawn Getty. Shawn is the founder of the Getty Group, a powerhouse real estate team based in Calgary, Alberta, and a leader within eXp Realty. But what makes Shawn's story so unique isn't just his success, but it's how he got there. Shawn didn't start his career with all the resources or an easy path. He launched his real estate journey during a recession, facing personal financial hardships that should have stopped anyone in their tracks. But instead of giving in, Shawn leaned into resilience, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to his vision. Today, he leads a top-performing team known for their client-first approach, innovative use of technology, and a culture of mentorship and collaboration. Shawn, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having us here. Well, me.
Yeah, I appreciate it, buddy. Shawn, what I find most inspiring is your ability to turn challenges into opportunities, man. I mean, at this point, you're not just selling houses, you're building people, businesses, and communities. From creating high-performance teams to leveraging social media and technology, you really do exemplify what it means to adapt, grow, and lead in a competitive industry. So I want to kind of take things on a rewind a little bit. Can you share a bit about your story of transitioning from retail to real estate and maybe highlighting a bit of the challenging economic time that you decided to start everything in?
Yeah. So you mean like from new home sales to
for sure.
So it's funny, like, it really helped having that background, but it also hurt at the same time. So like some of the benefits, so like some of the benefits obviously was like I knew how homes were built and structured, so I could see the wall and I would know what would be behind it as far as if we could move plumbing or not or all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But when you work for a builder, they set the price, they tell you what you can sell stuff for, and you only know new. You don't know anything about old.
Yeah.
So like me personally, anyways, I had a real false sense of confidence come in. And I remember the first CMA that I did, went out to price a house, and I messed up so badly 2 times.
Yeah.
One, I remember I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't know what the price is. Like, so I was like, nobody tells me what to sell this for. It was a big one. And the lady, she'd interviewed another realtor before me who got the listing. I didn't, but she interviewed another realtor before me.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, he was telling me something about the pipes and the plumbing and that I would need to change it out or need to do something about it before we listed. I'm like, oh, show me the pipes.
Yeah.
So I go into the furnace room and we're looking and they look normal to me. I'm like, oh, the plastic, it should be fine, right? I don't see what you got to change. Well, little did I know that's poly B pipes. And I had no idea what poly B was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it's PEX, it's fine. Like, what's the guy talking about, right? So eventually got back. It's like, you probably don't really know enough yet. So maybe try again next year kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it was one of those things where it was, a blessing to understand how houses work and a little bit about contracts and stuff. But it was also real false sense of confidence in my own abilities.
Yeah, well, you only knew what you knew kind of deal and nothing more.
Yeah, but you think you know it all.
For sure, yeah. Well, that's so then what transitioned into real estate? At what point were you like, I'm going to get into real estate now?
Yeah. So I actually went to get my license when I was young, when I was like 19 years old in Vancouver.
Oh, crazy.
Back then, yeah. And I made it to the 3rd chapter where they started talking about law back in the Vancouver one. And I'm like, oh man, this is boring and whatever. And I remember sitting there and I'm like, I'm just a kid. I'm like, who's going to buy houses from me or sell a house, or where do I even get the customers from? And I didn't know anybody in real estate at the time. So I just didn't know how it worked. So back then, that was in 2004. So there was no Facebook, like that didn't exist. There was no social media. I'm like, where would you even get a customer? I go, like, I remember there's people sitting in the mall and they've got like the stands. I don't know if you ever saw that or not, but there'd be like a stand in the middle of the mall with all the listings. And then you would just talk to that person. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, I don't really want to do that. So I didn't get my license. And yeah, so then long story short, I did a bunch of other things and I eventually got into new home sales.
Cool.
And I was always the number one person, whatever community I worked in, by quite a bit. And people always wanted to work with me, but I couldn't work with them because if they went to another community, you're stuck.
Yeah.
So really short version of the story is I had a really good life. I was working 28, 24 hours a week, making good money. Life was fine. But I ended up getting divorced, losing my job, and breaking my arm, which I broke it in 9 places. So I couldn't
Wow.
do anything. I couldn't play any sports. I couldn't go to the gym, nothing. All within 30 days. So I lost my business. I lost my career. I lost my marriage, and I lost my health literally in a 30-day span. And yeah, so I ended up taking a year off and spending all my money and racking up a stupid amount of debt. And I thought that would be a great time to get into real estate. So yeah, they say you should have 6 months of savings. I was 6 months behind on all my bills
Yeah.
when I came into the business.
Yeah. Wild, man. So that's what kind of jump started the whole career switch then. It was basically,
I got fired.
for lack of better terms, your life fell apart for a second there.
Oh yeah, it completely fell apart. Yeah, bad. It was, yeah, like it got so bad. I was literally selling my furniture for food.
Yeah.
And for the Americans, we have something called a toonie here. I know you have no idea what that is, but it's a $2 coin. So a $2 bill, I guess, which doesn't exist there anyways. But anyways, $2. And yeah, I remember I found a toonie one day and I literally had to decide if I was going to go buy a can of tuna or put $2 of gas in my truck. And I remember I went down to the gas station, I put $2 and imagine going to the guy because it's cash, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, $2 on pump 5, please. And the guy's like, $2, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's all I had. And I'm like, I'd rather be able to drive a couple more blocks than eat today. And that was the decision I had to make many times.
Okay, so I want to stay on this topic for a little bit then, because I think so many realtors, when they're getting into the business, they're afraid they don't have all the resources they need to make it happen. And from what I'm getting out of your story, you got into the real estate game with not even no resources, but negative resources. You had minus nothing, and still were able to make a very successful business in a short amount of time. So elaborate a little bit on once you got into real estate, how did you then start growing your business at such a rapid rate?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll sure jump into that because that's important actually for new realtors to kind of understand this.
For sure.
Just like a quick summary on the numbers, it was 44 deals my first year, 38 of them were listing, 103 deals my second year, and then I did 186 deals my third year. That was my biggest solo year.
Yeah.
And then we started getting into teams and everything like that. And we'll see where we end up at the end of the year, but we'll be somewhere around 400 to 450 deals this year is where we'll finish, $250 million this year. And next year, I'm pretty certain based on the growth and the game plan we have, we will be shooting for $1 billion and we will be the number one EXP team on earth next year, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, didn't start that way.
No, and that's insane. It's insane. It's quantum leap after quantum leap.
Yeah.
How did you land 38 listings your first year?
Yeah. So let's paint this picture for you.
Please.
So I live in a place for the Americans and it's called Alberta is our province, which that would be like our state, and Calgary is the city. And just picture basically like Texas. And our number one, we have the third biggest oil reserve on earth, if you can imagine. That's why Trump is joking about taking over Canada. He wants the oil. But yeah, so we have a ton of oil here and we voted in a complete potato in 2014 and he decided to shut oil down. So imagine if Texas shut down oil and gas, what would it do to that state?
Yeah.
Right?
Ruin
So
it.
that was in 2014 and we just went completely downhill until 2020, until COVID basically. So I started in 2019 at the bottom of our cycle, and pretty much every single person that sold their house, they had to cash out their life savings. They had zero equity in the house and they were borrowing money just to pay off the negative equity and the fees, the lawyer fees, and the real estate fees.
Yeah.
So nobody was buying. That's why the ratio was so crazy because there wasn't.
Okay.
And I remember I was like, because I was taking on a bunch of listings and I didn't have the money to put them up for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, where the hell do you get buyers? I'm like, I'm so sick of these listings.
Yep.
And not only that, imagine this, the days on market, and like, I'm not exaggerating here, the days on market was 3 years to sell a house. Yeah. So the actual number was about 87 days, if you like actually pull the stat.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you go into the history of the listing, it'd be on a market, off market, on market, off market, on market, off market.
Okay.
For until it finally sold, and it would be priced down
For sure.
until it finally sold. So like it was so rare to see a house that was up and sold without
Yep.
it going 10 times on market before.
Okay.
So that was the market that I started in. And so like all you guys that are difficult times, like I get it. Like I've
Yeah.
been. And what happened, I'll tell you about like my first listing and kind of how it all started moving. My first listing came from a warm call. And what happened so I'll kind of run this a second more. But when I started in real estate, I was with EXP when I started.
Okay.
And there was only 50 agents in the province. So 50 agents in the state, right?
Okay.
There was nothing. And back then you were assigned a mentor and you had to pay them 20% of your commission to mentor you. So I remember I sat down with my mentor, which there was only one, there was no choice. It's like, here's your mentor, right?
Yep.
And I told him, I'm like, hey, listen, like I'm dead broke. I can't express this enough. Like we're sitting down for breakfast. I'm like, I don't got money for breakfast. Like you're paying. Like I have no money.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, no problem. And I started in March. And I'm like, what do I do to sell a house today? Like right now, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to get up out of this chair and I'm going to go sell. Like I'm doing it right now.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, okay, well, the best thing you could do is a pumpkin drive. I'm like, pumpkin drive? Like in October? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, and where do you want me to get these pumpkins from? Like, should I steal them? Like, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're growing them now. I don't know how to grow pumpkins. I'm like, okay, well, that's a stupid fucking idea. I go, right? And I go, what's the second thing? And they go, oh, well, you should just hang out at coffee shops where you want to work, like communities where you want to work, and just talk to the people coming and going. I'm like, so loiter in a coffee shop and talk to people coming, like, okay, second stupid idea.
These are the great minds that are coming in and giving you ideas. Eh?
Yeah, right. And I'm like, I don't even want your third idea. Like, I'm good, right?
Yeah.
So I went to the broker and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not doing the mentor thing. And they're like, well, you don't have a choice. I'm like, well, yeah, I do. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, I quit. I'm like, I'll just go work somewhere else. Like, I'm not fucking doing this, right?
Yeah.
I'm not giving them 20% for bad advice. And the broker's like, okay, fine. Well, you're on your own then. And I'm like, good, I'd rather be on my own.
Yeah.
And with EXP World, right? So I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of training in there. I think at the time it was like 40 hours is what they advertised. I think it's like 60 hours now, but 40 hours of training a week. I'm like, okay, perfect. So I logged into EXP World. I don't know if you've ever been in there or not.
Yep.
Yeah. So I logged in and there's like a girl at the front counter, like the little entrance area.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, I'm brand new. It's like my first day. Where do I go to get training? Because I heard there's training in here. And she's like, oh my God, you're new. You got to take the boats for a ride. Boat. And she's like, over there, there's boats. You can drive them around the island. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I was already annoyed that I had to make like a little figurine character to get in this place. I'm like, I already wasted 10 minutes getting in here.
Yeah.
I'm like, stupid. So I just deleted it. I didn't even go.
Yep.
So I just deleted it. And then, little did I know there was good resources in there.
Yeah.
But so then I just went to Google and I just Googled, how do I sell a house today? Search. That's literally what I did. And then I started looking at all the stuff that was available, and everything that was available was just like a little aggressive for me. I just didn't like it. Was
in
sales,
what sense?
Like send a pre-listing package to somebody so that they can sign it right when you get there. And when you go door knocking, try to get a CMA right there on the spot and all this stuff, right? And I'm like, there's no value, there's no relationship building, and that's how I've always done sales and done everything. This is the opposite to how I would like to structure my business.
Yeah.
I saw the things I was supposed to do. So I'm like, oh, so I'm supposed to knock doors. I'm supposed to make warm calls. I'm supposed to make cold calls. I'm supposed to work open houses. I'm like, okay, I see the things I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
I'm just going to figure it out on my own because I just don't like what I see, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
When did it end up working?
Yeah, well, I'll kind of segue two things here.
Yeah.
So I remember like the first door that I knocked. So I think I literally went and like knocked on the door and the person answers. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're like, hello. I'm like, hello. And they're like, can I help you? I'm like, do you want to sell your house? I was like, no. Fuck. That was literally the first door that I knocked. And then it kind of, segued into something really good after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, my first listing came 1 week in the business. And back then our average sale was somewhere around 430,000.
Okay.
So I was just doing warm calls and just called the guy. How's it going? We caught up and whatever. And he's like, what's new in your life? I'm like, oh, I'm a realtor now. He's like, oh, you're a realtor. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I have a house for you to sell. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, whose? He goes, mine. I'm like, really?
Nice.
When? He goes, right now. I'm like, now? He's like, yeah. He goes, I bought it. I want to sell it and blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And it was a $1.35 million listing. Brand new, kind of like a mansion almost, right? Because you can imagine 400,000 is the average ticket. So we're like 3x the value.
For sure.
And I'm like, oh, crazy. I'm like, okay, right. I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't know a designated or common law agency. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Right. And so I go to list this thing. And again, you got to remember, I'm broke. I have no money whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. All your eggs are in this basket.
No, I even got no eggs to put in this basket.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So, order the photos and measurements and all that stuff. And the invoice comes and, you don't get the pictures and measurements till you pay the invoice. Right. So I just forward the invoice to the seller. I'm like, hey, man, here you go. He's like, what's this? I'm like, oh, well, you got to pay this to get the pictures. He's like, don't you pay for this? I go, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, you got to pay because I ain't got no money in it.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't pay, we ain't getting these pictures.
Yeah.
So anyways, I got fired about 3 weeks after that, clearly. So that was my first listing.
Okay.
Yeah. I talk about this kind of ties into the guru story.
Yeah.
But this is all kind of tied in a second here. But have you heard the guru story where the guy goes to the guru and he says he wants to be the greatest in the world?
No.
Oh, okay. So this guy wants to be the greatest in whatever he's doing.
Yep.
But he goes to this guru and he says, I want to be the greatest in the world. And the guru says, okay, no problem. I can help you with this. He goes, meet me at the beach at 4 a.m. tomorrow and we'll start your training. The guy's like, beach? There's nothing to do with what I'm doing, but okay, sure. Right. He's the guru. So he gets there at 4 a.m. and the guru's already out in the water. And he goes, hey, come out here. I'm going to show you. And in the water, he's like, come here. You want to be the greatest? I'm going to show you. So the guy walks out into the water. And as soon as he gets close to the guru, grabs him and he slams his head under the water. And the guy's fighting and he's trying to get up and he can't. And the guru's holding his head underwater. And just before the guy's about to pass out, the guy lifts his head up out of the water and the guy goes to take a breath. And before he can get a breath of air, he slams his head back under the water and he's drowning and he's about to black out. And the guru picks his head up again. And again, right before he goes to grab a breath of air, the guru slams him one more time and he's fighting. And all of a sudden the fighting is about to stop because he's about to pass out, right? About to drown. And right before he's about to drown, the guru lifts his head and lets him take a big breath of air. And he goes, what are you doing? Are you fucking crazy? And the guru says, until you want to win as bad as you want to breathe, you will never be the greatest. And I'm like, holy shit. Like it's a matter of life and death if you want to be the greatest, right? So what happened is I was at a very low point in the first year. Again, you got to remember, I lost my marriage. Yeah. And it was completely out of nowhere. Like it was like neither one of us did anything bad to each other. There was nothing happened. It just, there was a death in the family that my wife didn't handle very well. And we separated. And we were married for 3 months, if you can imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Problem or anything, right? So it caught me completely by surprise. And I lost my career and my health. So I couldn't do anything for myself at all. And started spiraling, and I never did drugs, but like we partied quite a bit and all that stuff. So like, you got the booze blues and all those things. And so the first year in real estate, I tried to kill myself 2 times, once before the story and once after the story. But yeah, what happened is before I had my first sale, I was just putting out open house signs one day. So just working open house for somebody. Okay. And I'm putting out open house signs and I was just wishing that somebody would run me over because I couldn't do it myself, right? And I'm like, I just wish somebody would kill me and it would be over. And as I'm putting out the open house signs, just feeling bad for myself, I was just thinking like, man, like I'm not this much of a loser. Like I'm just not. I got handed a couple bad hands, but like I'm not playing them well at all. And I'm not this person. Yep. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to give it absolutely everything that I have. And 1 second. Yeah, I'm just going to give it absolutely everything that I have. And no excuses, no time off, no birthdays, no nothing. I'm just going to work. And I'm going to give it everything. And if I'm not happier and I'm not in a better place by the end of the year, then I will kill myself. And I went home that day and I wrote it on my calendar, your last day on earth. And that was December 31st, 2019. So if you can imagine, I was working like my life literally depended on it, right? Yeah. You can get them. Yeah. So then if you can imagine the reps that you put in, if your life is on the line, right? Those days where you didn't want to go do the open house or the days where you didn't want to make those calls, that never happened. I just literally woke up and worked, right? And at the time, you gotta remember, I had no money. Yeah. I had to work as an announcer at a nightclub because I needed to get paid cash because any money that hit in my bank account was the bank just kept it.
Oh
Right?
yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
your money, this is our money.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that, and then I needed to work at nighttime because I needed to be able to work real estate all day.
Yep.
So my shift would be somewhere between like 8 and 8:30 at night. And this is Calgary. Like this is Canada. This is fucking cold
Fucking
outside.
cold. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like -30, -40. So 8:30 at night would be when my shift would start, and it would finish at 3 a.m. And I'd be outside working the door. They never let me inside. So like I always was outside. There was no heaters or nothing. Like it was fucking cold.
Yeah, dude.
So I'm outside checking all these IDs all night, and then 3 a.m. we finally finish. Like the bar closes at 2, and then you get everybody out, and then you got to do move the kegs and all that shit. And then so 3 o'clock, I'm done. I'm home around 3:10, 3:15, and I would just do paperwork and stuff from 3:15 till around 4:35 a.m. And I would go to sleep, and I would sleep for 2 or 3 hours, and I'd wake up, go to the gym, and then I would just start doing real estate from 8 or 9 a.m. straight right up until I would go to the bar that night. And yeah, like again, like I was going sometimes 2, 3 days at the most with no food because I just didn't have the money for eating. So imagine working 20 hours a day, working and not eating. And I remember I go to the bartenders and I'd be like, hey man, like save me those oranges from the old fashioned because that's what I'd be eating for the day.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night when we're taking the garbages out, I see the fucking oranges that they never save for me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll never hire a fucking bartender. So anyways, yeah, so the long story short is reps equals results is what it is. And I put in as many reps that first year as what most people probably do in a decade. And when you do that many reps in that short amount of time, you build a wild amount of strength in that activity. So like my door knocking is, I'd argue, some of the best in the country. My open houses, some of the best in the country. Everything was like at the top level. And that all started a compound. And you just get really good at conversations. You just get really good at reading people and all that stuff. And that's what ended up kind of pushing me into that level, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally makes sense, man. I'm almost a little blown away by the story. What pivotal moment shifted your mindset? Because I know that a lot of that's got to go from mindset. And I mean, you went from, ready to end your life to deciding that you're going to put every single ounce of what you have in the tank out there and change it all. But what brought you from the lowest point to the highest point, let's say?
It was just that one day. Yeah.
It was just that one day, hey?
One day putting out the open house. And I was already doing quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
I was already working hard, but I wasn't working hard enough, if that makes sense. There was still more that I could have done each day.
Yeah.
And yeah, just that one day, and I just made the decision and I made the deal with myself. And like I literally went home and I wrote that on my calendar. You know what I mean? Like it's
You gave yourself a deadline.
literally, and it is, pun intended, but it was a dead,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, when that happened, it just started just multiplying. And like there wasn't a lot of people on social media at that time, 2019.
Yeah.
Or not people, but there wasn't a lot of realtors on social media at that time.
Yep.
Not like there is today. And what happened is I just kind of started documenting my days, and it ended up turning into something, hindsight is 2020, the vision.
Yeah.
So I was doing something back then. I didn't know what it was back then, but it's today we call it an NTA, which is no time added prospecting. And I was documenting the things that I was doing and how I was doing it. And I just wanted people to see that I was working is really what it was, right?
For sure.
Because I knew that other realtors weren't door knocking. I knew that other realtors weren't working open houses. I knew that they weren't making calls. And I'm like, well, if I could just show that I'm working harder than everybody, maybe somebody will pick me instead of them, right? And what happened is that developed into NTAs, and we have a whole business wrapped around those now. But in short, if you can imagine, that first year was a lot of hand-to-hand combat and a lot of belly-to-belly sales.
Yep.
That second year was primarily social media. And the third year, where I did 186 deals, was 100% social media. Everything was inbound. And I was not top of mind. I was top of preference for people, where people just would not work with anybody but me. And I've got stories where I can tell you they'll blow your mind. But so anyways, those NTAs, so if you can imagine, like the best one is if you're working with a buyer and you're on a buyer tour with somebody, and we go from right outside the house to inside the house. There's so many opportunities for these. Yep. But let's say outside, right? You're meeting somebody for the first time. Hey, how's it going? Whatever. Before you go in the house, let's say it's a 1980s, 1990s community. before you go in the house, you're like, oh, hey, by the way, before we even go inside, I just want to show you something.
Yeah.
You see this house that we're about to go in? They're like, yeah. I'm like, what does it look like around the windows? Does it look like metal or plastic? Like, it looks like it's metal around the windows. I'm like, okay, it is. Do you see that house right there, 2 doors over? They're like, yeah. I'm like, do you see the white around the windows? They're like, yeah. Okay, so that means the windows have been replaced because those are new aluminum, or sorry, these are old aluminum windows and those are new acrylic windows.
Yeah.
So that's not a deal breaker or anything like that. But it's about 20 grand to replace windows in a community like this. If you like this house, I'm going to make sure that we have that 20 grand factored into the deal so that you're not going to pay for old windows when people were getting new windows for the same price.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that's so great. I'm like, yeah, it is. You know who would love that? My audience. I'm like, can you just show my audience what I just showed you? I'm like, oh, yeah, for sure. And then you turn the camera around. And I'm like, okay, tell them. And they would always fuck it up and it would always be funny and whatever, right? And so they would mess it up and everyone's laughing and I'd be like, oh, like turn it back around. Oh, you were close, but here's how it actually works and whatever. And you tag them in the story that you're going to post of that. So now what happens is if every day or 3 or 4 times a week, people see you out actively working with customers. So right away, they know that you're busy. People like busy people. And they see that I'm fun and I'm educational to shop with. Whereas their realtor is probably boring as fuck and not telling him anything. You know, they open the door. All right, go check it out. I'll just stand here at the front door.
And then text messages at the door while they're touring the house.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Not like that with me. And they're seeing all different kinds of the house. And it's all, you know, I'm talking about poly B, I'm talking about different flooring and whatever, right? So then you tag them in it. And what happens is if somebody tags you in a story like that, what are they going to do? They're going to share it. Sure. So now what happens is I'm working my sphere, my audience, but I'm also working their sphere and their audience. And what happens is when you start getting repeats and referrals, you're going to start doing a bunch of deals inside a friend group. Does that make sense? Or inside a community? Like
you've put yourself in a whole new sphere.
Yeah, but their sphere is probably fairly tight. So you get another couple deals out of there. Like, oh, John worked with him and Tina worked with him. And it was all the same. It was all the same, right?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you've broken into that whole group. And because you've done such a good job and, you know, you post your solds and the things that you did to make it happen and the extra above the above beyond that you did and whatever. Yep. And what happens is people are like, I don't want to work with anybody but Shawn. That's the experience that I want. And you show it through NTAs. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So I was doing that. I didn't know what it was. And I didn't realize I was doing it. Right. Yeah. And I look back, I'm like, what was some of the big keys to my success? I'm like, oh, that was one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Right. So now we do it more intentionally. But like I had one sale around a year ago. I was still just about coming out of production. And it was this guy that wanted to sell his condo. And so he sends me a DM. He goes, hey, Shawn, I want to sell my condo. Can you message me back? And I got a really bad habit of opening messages when I shouldn't be opening them. And I just don't respond. And when you know, the little fucking blue dot goes away and you forget about it, right?
Yeah.
So message comes in a few days later. Hey, Shawn, I really need to sell my condo. Can you please message me back? It's 2 that I opened, that the red fucking receipt is there. No response. Third one comes in and I do it a third time. Imagine 3 times someone messages you, hey, can you please sell my condo? Right. And all I have to do is respond.
Yeah.
Right. I keep opening it when I'm in a meeting or in a thing. And I fucked up. Right.
Yeah.
And so the fourth message started to hit like a dagger. Hey, Shawn, I needed to know what my house was worth. So I just brought in another realtor. I'm like, oh, fuck. All I had to do was respond.
Yeah.
Hey, Shawn, I need to know what my condo was worth. So I brought another realtor. I now know the price. Can you please put it for sale? That is top of preference. See what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that's
right?
Huge.
Yeah, and that's happened to me a few times, right? Like literally, like that exact scenario has happened a few times.
And do you think that's based off of the trust and rapport that you've built off of social media? Like what made you decide that you were going to go all in on social media? Did you already have some social media from your previous, or did somebody convince you to dive into social media? Like what made you decide that this was going to be the platform that you went all in on?
Yeah, I had one post before real estate, and
no shit.
280 followers. Yeah, I was just on there for the Instagram memes. That's it.
Yeah.
And they were great. I mean, and like life was good, right?
Yeah.
But so two real main things. The first one is I was trying to get information from anywhere on how to do business, not real estate, but business.
Okay.
Because all of the stuff that I found online, I really didn't like the messages that were out there for real estate at the time.
No, fair.
There's like 3 guys, right, from back in the day that were doing it. And I still consumed it all. Like every single video about real estate in any way, shape, or form, I was watching it. But I also wanted to see business, right?
Yep.
And so I stumbled upon Gary Vee. And this is like right as he was starting to take off, 2019. He wasn't the Gary Vee of today back then, but he was making his impact. And I just happened to come across a video of his, and I'm like, oh, I like this. I go, just give value, just give to them, just whatever, right? Document your day. And then I'm like, oh, this all makes sense. Like it's clicking, right?
Yeah.
So Gary Vee was one of the big ones that helped me influence social media, even though he had nothing to do with real estate.
Yeah.
And the other one is when I was getting these listings, I had no money to run ads, right? I was like, man, there's 1% Realty out there, and I'm sure there's a bunch where you guys are, where it's like $700 to list, and they put on MLS for sale by owner, basically.
Yeah, a mere posting.
Mere posting, right? Yeah. And I'm like, man, if all I'm doing is putting on an MLS and waiting for the phone calls, I'm like, am I really better than that? I go, not really. I go, like, I'm new. I don't know how to negotiate. I don't know how to do this stuff. I'm kind of screwing people, right?
Yeah.
So like, I need this message to get out to more people. I need this listing to get out to more people. And I just sat and I just thought about, how do I do that? Right. And I'm like, oh, social media is pretty cool. I mean, like every time I make a post, 50 people see it. I'm like, that's 50 more than what if I didn't? Because again, I didn't have a big following, right?
For sure.
So I developed a few strategies through just that mindset of, I just want to get more exposure to this listing. And we ended up inventing, or whatever you want to call it, a few strategies that ended up being like wildly powerful for my business. Like one of them, we call it a boomerang.
Okay.
So much business comes back to you, but like in short, what you
break
do,
it down.
You put a post up there and you just share the post to your story. This works only on listings. I've tried with other things, but listings make the most sense.
Okay.
Listing, post it to your story. And then every single person that sees your story, you got the little eyeball on Instagram.
Yep.
Okay? So every single person that sees a story, you send them the same message. So you just say their name, like, hey, Tim, and then you paste this message. So, hey, Tim, I'm trying to get more exposure on this listing. You absolutely don't have to, but if you can, it would mean the world to me if you can just share this post. You have to make sure you say post to your story, because you can't share story to stories.
Yep.
So can you share this post to your story? Again, you don't have to, but if you do, it would be amazing. And then every single person that saw my story got that exact message, but with their name. Hey, Tim, Sarah, hey, Jen, hey, whatever, right? So what happens is I would do at least 100, but I would shoot for like 150 or 200 of those messages. So imagine, right? And now what happens is people were sharing it. Some wouldn't. It didn't really matter to me. It just mattered that I was doing the work.
Yeah.
And so I'd get a bunch of shares, but then every single person that shared it, I would go back into the DMs and I would treat that like a warm call. So I'd be like, hey, Ted, thank you so much for doing that. I go on their page and I would just see what they've been up to lately.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Ted, thank you so much for sharing that, man. It really means a lot to me. Saw you just bought a new truck. How is it? I just saw you went camping. How was it? Saw you just won a trip. How was it? And then just start a warm conversation in the DMs from that. So now I'm making my sphere while I'm getting free exposure, right?
Yeah.
Imagine this. I think I might have had like 500 followers at the time, or 700 followers, something like this.
Yeah.
I had a post get 49,000 views on Instagram of a listing. It was crazy, right? So imagine the traction it got. And again, it was just based on, I just want to do a good job for my customers. Yeah. So let me get this out there more, right? So that was one of the things I did. And you would always start 20 or 30 or 40 conversations with people that you would have never had conversations with. And it's genuine, warm, casual conversations. Now we're building rapport. I'm getting that authority score up. I'm getting that friendly score up. And eventually I'm going to be not top of mind. I'm going to be top of preference. And it started with them helping me share a post.
That's insane, man. You've taken social media and done something so different with it. See, everybody else uses it simply for advertising their own. And thank you. Yeah, I see you shaking your head. It's all about building a community and being social on social media, actually engaging with your clientele. And the fact that you were simply asking people to share your post, and then once they did, taking that next step, I mean, you're just working them down the funnel.
100%, right? And it's funny that you said funnel. I used to joke about this all the time, but it took me 4 years to do a CRM. I didn't have a CRM my first 4 years.
Yep.
I was making over $1 million a year, and I never had a CRM at all.
Yep.
And Like, well, what were you using then? I'm like, my DMs. Like, what were you using? Right? Like, I didn't even or nothing. Everything just lived in my DMs. And then like we had another one that we call a social media blitz, because same thing, right? Like, and like a lot of people get on this virality thing and the views, and I really don't care about any of that shit.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me. I do track my likes and my comments and stuff because I get too low, I'm going to start falling off people's algorithms, and I got to put a personal post in there or something to boost the algorithm back up to make sure that I'm not sitting at like these low numbers. That's the only reason why. I'm just like, am I hovering around where I should be hovering around, or did I do a big dip? Because if I did a big dip, I'll put something personal out there and then it'll fucking jam through the roof again. And then it's just back to business, right?
And so that's kind of your routine then, is educational, business, listings, things along those lines. And then if you notice that things are starting to drop off a bit, you throw some personality in there.
100%, right? So the numbers good. There's no 80-20. There's like, you notice the numbers drop, hit it with the personal, it'll come back up, business. And then, like, again, like growing the community, like this was another big one. We call this a blitz. But I'm like, so when I was putting posts out there, I would get, 20, 50 views, 20 likes, whatever. I got a small account, right? And I thought it was cool. I'm like, man, if for me to knock 50 doors takes me like at least 2 hours. Like, like this, I just did this in 2 minutes. I mean, this is really good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And because again, I think people don't value the work. They don't understand how difficult it is to talk to 50 people, to actually go out and have 50 conversations. And just to have 50 people view a post is fucking incredible in comparison to being outside for 2 hours doing it, right?
Absolutely.
And they're like, oh, but I need thousands of views. I go, do you? I mean, like, I didn't, right? Like it got better as my account got bigger, but it was whatever. So anyways, the blitz. So I started thinking about it as I was starting to get a little more action on social media. And I'm like, man, I need more of this. I go, because this is way easier than being outside. I'm like, so how do I get people that I want to work with in the communities that I want to work on my feed? How do I do this? And so I just sat back and thought about it. I'm like, oh man, every time some random person shows up on my account, I go see who it is. I go, okay, so like, let me develop a strategy around that. And that's what came with the blitz. So what happens is it's kind of two parts. There's a post part and an actionability part. The post part is you have to make sure that your story is selling your personality. So we have the 5 emotional anchors that we put in our story. So that's food, fitness, inspiration, motivation, memes, pets, and kids. So those are things that if people saw those in your story, that they would likely interact with on an emotional level the most. You're thinking that, right? Like if you see a fitness post, you're in. If you see a food post, you're in. You're like, cool, steak sandwich or whatever, right? Cool. So I'm like, okay, let me be as many emotional anchors as I can have at a time up there. And then my posts were always value-based signaling posts, which meant here's what just changed in the market. Here's what just changed in policy. Here's what just changed in interest rates. Here's how it's going to affect you. And here's what you should do if you're a first-time buyer, if you're an investor, if you're whatever. And I would make it one specific person that I was talking to. Because when you try to talk to everybody at once, that's when you become a liar, because it's not the best time to buy and sell, but it's the best time for somebody to buy and for somebody to sell, right? So those were the posts, so that I made sure I had the emotional anchors on my story and the value-based signaling posts on my feed. And then every time I made a post, I would spend an hour doing a blitz, and the blitz is split into 4 parts. So one was communities. So the communities where I want to work, you just search the location, say Applewood. So I go into Applewood, and anybody that posted in there, I would just leave as many thoughtful comments as I can on their feed. Or if it was something that I could tell that I was also into, I would go into their feed and leave like 4 or 5 comments on different posts. Well, what's the first thing that you do when some random person leaves a comment on your post? You go and you check out their feed.
Check it out.
Where's the first place you go? Stories. And you're like, oh, wow, this person's kind of cool. Let me see what they're about. And then you hit a couple posts. You're like, oh, wow, that was pretty valuable. Boom, you got to follow. There's somebody that is in the exact community that you want to work, who vibes with exactly who you are, that just gave you a follow. Then you follow them back, and I would just give them a little wave or something, just something super quick, so that the communication line was open, not intrusive, not anything. Just like, hey, random, if you ever want to talk, there you go. First message, right? I don't care if a conversation started, I don't know, whatever. It's just the lines of communication are now open, whatever happens from there, right? So I'd spend 50 minutes on communities. Then I would spend 50 minutes on hashtags, because hashtags used to geolocate. They don't anymore. But like, let's say you put hockey or bowling or crochet, whatever you're into, you would put it and it would kind of geolocate around your city.
Yeah.
So now instead of that, what we do is when we're in the locations, when you come across a business that's local to that community. So let's say like Applewood Dog Care. So now go into their followers, because anybody who's following a specific business in a community lives in that community. Nobody from Birchwood is looking at Applewood's dog care page.
Yep. Yep.
So you put all their followers and you do the exact same thing. So you just leave thoughtful comments on all their followers. What do? Your page, your stories, emotional anchors, value-based follow, line of communication, off you go. So 50 minutes there, 15 minutes there. Then I would spend 15 minutes on my stories, and I would go all the way to the back of the stories, because those are people that fell off my algorithm. And if they fell off mine, I've fallen off theirs. So I would do the same thing. I would just leave thoughtful comments on everybody's stories, right? And they'd be like, oh shit, Shawn Getty, I haven't seen him in like 3 years. What's he up to? Boom, emotional anchors, value-based posts. Now we're commenting back and forth, and now I'm back on the top of their algorithm. So every post I make now, they're seeing it, whereas before they weren't. So I spent 15 minutes doing that. And then I would spend 15 minutes doing from posts top down.
Yeah.
So those are my biggest supporters, right? Anytime that I see a post first, that's the person I'm connected with the most.
Yep.
So I'd make sure I keep those people happy, and I would show them love, because nobody puts a post up there to not get a comment or a like. Look, you put a post up, it gets 5 comments. You probably see those comments 60 times that day. You go back and check it so much.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that I'm that person showing love, and like, I'll fucking throw paragraphs on there if I can, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, every time I see Shawn Getty, it's good, it's happy.
It's
right?
authentic.
And it's authentic, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So imagine if every single post you spent an hour doing that. Well, what happens is, for posts to go viral, and let's just say viral as in our viral. So let's say it usually gets 200 views. Now all of a sudden it gets 600 views. That's viral. That's great. That's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So now, because every single post, the more attention that it gets in the first 15 minutes, in the first hour, Instagram spreads it out to more people, right?
Yeah.
So because you do that immediately after every post, that post is going to get attention, and it's going to spread to more people that are just on the stories, or sorry, on the popular page, or just scrolling at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, look how much you've done for your business in 1 hour. And again, think about any conversations that you're starting and stuff like that, right? That's working your sphere. So that's how I really grew my following, is I just did that for an hour after every post.
So you're focusing on quality over quantity when you're doing that, but how many times are you posting? Like, what's your time commitment then to carry out a strategy like that?
What else are you doing? Right? like honestly, what else are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
And this is like, I call people out on this all the time. I'm like, okay, cool. You're busy, right? Okay. You can't, because you're filming on yours. But like, okay, grab your phone for me. Go to settings, go to general, go to battery, click your usage. Tell me your usage per day, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Oh, it's like 6 hours a day. I'm like, oh, but you're too busy to do this for an hour, are you? Right.
Yeah.
I've almost never been wrong on that. Right.
Yeah. Quick reality check.
Yeah. You're just fucking around. Right. You have the time.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, I always talk about what's the intent and ROI, right? What's the intent of the activity I'm doing, and how do I max out the ROI? ROI is return on investment. We can only ever invest 2 things, time and money. Time is one of the most precious assets that we have. If I'm going to be spending my time, I want to make sure that I get the best return possible for it, because I only have so much of that. And then when it's gone, we're dead. Yeah. So if I'm going to make a post, I want the most amount of people to see it, because that's the least amount of door knocking that I have to do if I can get this going. For sure. So I'm buying back my time by doing this.
Dude, you are a fucking monster when it comes to social media. It's like not even you're playing a different sport than everybody's even playing, let alone the same field, man. It's ruthless to hear the strategies that you've put in place. It's just insane.
Dude. Yeah,
what was that?
These are just some. There's lots more.
Oh, I believe it, but I mean, like I hope everybody's taking notes when they're listening to this, because like, holy shit, man. If I was, let's rewind to 2019 when you Googled how to sell a house today.
That's something in there.
Yeah. Well, so if I'm a new agent and I'm coming to Shawn and I'm saying, Shawn, how do I sell a house tomorrow? What are you telling him?
Yeah, go knock doors. Yeah,
go knock doors, hey?
If you want to sell a house tomorrow, go knock doors.
Yep.
If you want to sell a lot of houses within the year, social media.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is like when you're knocking doors, the NTAs, so again, the no time added prospecting,
Yeah.
that you do knocking doors will bring you more than you will ever imagine. So again, for example, how many agents put a customer on a custom home search and then never talk to them again? Right? They're just fucking, they're gone to La La Land, and hopefully they contact. I have like 300 people on a search sometimes, right? And I'm like, I don't know who the people are. I'm not going to call them every week.
Yeah.
So what happens is, imagine you're on somebody's search and you're getting properties that you're completely not interested in, or half of them are fucking sold by the time you get back to them or whatever, right? And you see me on your social media every single week knocking doors, and every single week is the same message. And there's only two reasons we're knocking doors, is what it developed into, right?
Yep.
And it was we either have a buyer or we're knocking for our seller's open house. Those are the only two things we're ever knocking for. None of this other fucking bullshit.
Yep.
And I've tried it all. Like whatever you could possibly come up with script wise, I've done it. And I'm telling you, these are the best two. So, and they kind of go into each other. So the first one, you're knocking for a buyer. It's a bit of a Trojan horse, but you're knocking for an open house to invite people in for the open house.
Yep.
So actually, sorry, no, we'll go back. We'll say the buyer one for now. So the NTA with the buyer one is, we've got a buyer. So imagine you're on your story and you got your flyers and you're like, we've got a buyer that wants to be in this neighborhood. I've seen every single thing on MLS. Nothing works for them. I will knock every single fucking door in this neighborhood until I find them the house that they need. Yeah. And then imagine they see that every single week. And imagine they're on a custom home search, or they've clicked a couple websites, or they're getting the auto stuff.
Yeah.
And they're not liking it. And then they see you week after week doing that.
Yeah.
Well, who are they going to work with? It's no fucking contest.
No contest. Exactly that. Not even a contest.
Yeah. Right. And again, that's why I'm not top of mind. I'm top of preference, because people know I'll go to war for them when they hire me. Right.
Well, they're bringing other agents in to price their homes out and then still getting you to list it.
Right. But again, it's
savage.
But does it kind of make sense now? Like at the beginning, when I probably told that to you, probably, what the fuck are you talking about? But now that you've heard a few of these things, you're like, oh, makes sense.
For sure. For sure, man. A testament to the door knocking thing. I mean, I moved from one location to another. And so first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to own the neighborhood that I was now living in. And so it was right around, I don't know, I think I moved in November. So I had just enough time by December hit to do all my Christmas cards. I handed out I think 747, if I want to be exact, 747 Christmas cards, just and knocked on every single door and said, I'm a new realtor in your neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Here's Christmas card, a little bit about myself and the family and this and that. It took more time than I wanted it to put the cards together and then seal them and then this and that. I felt like I was just kind of banging my head against the wall. I got 4 listings out of specifically because of that Christmas card. They called me in spring and said, man, I just want to say you are the first realtor to ever knock on my door and give me a Christmas card, introduce yourself and all these things. And so the time that I put into making the Christmas cards ended up being $45,000 in commission.
Yeah, and more, because you tell me you didn't get buyers out of those?
Exactly that, because then what I did is I threw open houses and I door knocked again, and I invited every single person in the neighborhood to that open house, and then I door knocked again. And, you know, by the time spring hit, everybody in the neighborhood seen me 5 or 6 times.
Yeah. And again, so it wasn't 45 grand, it was probably 150 grand.
Exactly that. And I mean, I'm going around to the neighborhoods, and the funny thing is we've got our local mailboxes where they're at, instead of going door to door now, it's just like at the end of every street. And when a realtor sends out a postcard, you could tell, because beside the mailboxes, there's a big recycling bin, hey? And you can always tell when a realtor sends out a postcard because there's just a big heap of them sitting in that recycling bin.
Yeah. And that's where they go.
Yeah. 100%. They never even make it in the door.
That's why you got to knock the door. Yeah, that conversation is the important part. Yeah.
Totally, man. Even just that face-to-face, you don't have to say anything groundbreaking. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just introducing yourself as a new local realtor who's ambitious and ready to work is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love it, man. Yeah.
No, I love it too, man. Shawn, your journey, it's fucking powerful. It's a clear example of resilience, discipline, and leadership. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights today with us, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me on. If I was a listener who was just totally blown away by what you had to say and wanted to learn more about this Shawn Getty and the Shawn Getty Group, what would be the best way for them to get in contact with you? Instagram, for sure. Yeah, just at Shawn Getty. Social media. Yeah, social media. Yeah, I don't even have business cards. Yeah, I've stopped business cards years ago. And I'll give you a perfect example before we end here. Yeah. I bought a house and we're doing a flip, and I went to go give the deposit. Yep. And typical me, I didn't have my fucking wallet. So I'm trying to take out a $50,000 draft with no fucking ID or wallet. So I just have to wait for the bank manager to come to authorize and ask me all the questions. And they're like, oh, it's going to be like 40 minutes till they come in, or they're free or whatever. I'm like, okay, there's a Subway. This is in a mall. There's a Subway like down the mall.
So I went in there, and it was a snowy day that day. So and it has to do the story. But I go and I'm ordering my sub, and I could tell the guy making it doesn't work there. I could tell he owns it. And what happened is snow day, so somebody called in sick, so the owner had to come in and make the subs. But you just tell when you're having a conversation with somebody, you're like, oh, you don't work here. Like this is your place, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so we get to talk, whatever. And, real estate's obviously going to start coming up. And he's like, yeah, I've been working with this one realtor and I want to do 10 to 12 flips a year. And I only did 2 last year because they only brought me 2 deals and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, who is it? Right. And then I found out. I'm like, oh, I know who it is. I'm like, that makes sense. And I'm not going to down talk anybody at I'm not going to down talk to who he's working with. Right. But in my head, and I'm like, listen, man, like I run a team, we got all this stuff, and we can find you all the properties you need and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, sure, man, give me your card. I'm like, oh, sorry, I don't have cards. And I'm like, here, change Instagrams. So we changed Instagrams, and he's following me, and like a little over a month later, literally the exact message is, oh, fuck, you're actually the real deal. That was the exact message. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I've been following you for a month. And he goes, you're actually legit and all the stuff you're talking about. He goes, I was just going to throw your card in the garbage.
Yeah, there you go.
But I saw what you do. He goes, I want to work with you. So we sold a bunch of houses to him last year. And I've now done 2 deals personally with him. Like we're partners on the deal. We're no longer realtors. We're investors together on deals. So imagine that would have never happened if I gave him my business card.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have business cards.
Big fat highlight on the get your social media in check.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Thanks for ending it on a high note. I can't say enough how impactful the insights that you had to share with us today was. Don't be afraid to reach out to this guy. He might answer your message. It might take a couple of days because he'll read it and forget to, but he will hit you up. Give this guy a follow. Thanks again for joining us for another incredibly insightful conversation. Remember, guys, this is where our industry's top 1% are sharing actionable steps you can implement into your business today. Join us next time for another value-packed show.
Thanks for tuning in to Collaborate, where we're not just talking about success, we're building it. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe and never miss out on the insights that could take your real estate career to the next level. And remember, this is a space for the elite. If you're ready to level up and become part of a global network of top-performing agents, join us at the Global Group for exclusive tools, resources, and opportunities to collaborate with the best in the business. I'm Trevor Bigg, and remember, if you haven't been invited to this show yet, you need to grind harder, hustle smarter, and get those numbers up, because this is a space reserved for the elite.